This week, more saints are coming up for the Church. John Paul II's relic is missing after a disturbing theft. And Pope Francis calls for a bigger role for women in the Church. Hello and welcome to this edition of Vatican Connections. Pope Francis is appearing yet again on a front page where you wouldn't expect to find a pope. Rolling Stone magazine featured the Pope on the cover of this month's edition and ran a full feature story about the quiet revolution he has incited. But if you've read the article, you probably noticed the same thing Vatican spokesperson Father Federico Lombardi noticed. It's more of an anti-Benedict rant. Father Lombardi called it superficial journalism. Have you read it? Let us know what you thought of the story on our Facebook page, Twitter feed, or via emails. We'll have details on how to get those messages to us a bit later. Now, that Rolling Stone cover was followed up with a graffiti tribute to Pope Francis on a wall close to the Vatican. Graffiti artist Malpaul spray-painted the image of Pope Francis as a superhero. The Pontifical Council for Social Communication took a photo and tweeted it. It promptly went viral. However, within 48 hours, the image had been painted over and the wall returned to its usual state. Another pope was in the news this week, John Paul II. First, it was announced that his longtime personal secretary, Cardinal Dziwisz, is publishing some of the late pope's personal writings. This seems to have angered many Polish Catholics because in his will, John Paul instructed Dziwisz to burn those notebooks. The cardinal said he did not burn those writings because he felt that what they contained was too valuable to lose. Meanwhile, in L'Aquila, Italy, a relic of the late pope was stolen from a church along with a gold crucifix. Now, Italian media reports believe that the theft was deliberate. Early reports speculated that the robbery could have been carried out by a satanic group of some sort, as there's been a rise in such groups in Italy recently. But on Thursday, Italian police located the reliquary and apprehended 2 drug addicts who had it in their possession. Now, the small piece of cloth that was inside the reliquary, the cloth stained with John Paul II's blood, has not yet been found. Italian police are continuing the search. Some experts say the relic could be a much sought-after item for some fringe Catholic groups. Cardinal Dziwisz gave the church a relic about 3 years ago because this was the place where John Paul would go skiing incognito. Another group of faithful moved closer to sainthood this week. Pope Francis recognized the heroic virtues of 7 faithful and the martyrdom of 1 Spanish priest who was killed during that country's civil war. Among the new venerables is one Canadian, Marcelle Mallette. She founded the Sisters of Charity of Quebec, an order that today operates in Canada, the US, Japan, Paraguay, Argentina, and the Congo. Finally, Cardinal Robert Serra of Cor Unum is visiting the Philippines this week on behalf of Pope Francis. The Cardinal is visiting areas affected by the recent Typhoon Haiyan. During a Mass in Barangay, he told the congregation that Pope Francis wanted to express his closeness and compassion for the typhoon victims in person. Cardinal Serra also visited Tacloban City and Palo Town, where he took part in a groundbreaking ceremony for an orphanage, a clinic, and a seniors' home at the Archbishop's compound. Cor Unum will finance the construction of those buildings. Did you know? Pope John Paul II made more than 100 secret trips outside the Vatican in order to ski or hike in the Italian mountains. According to his longtime secretary, Cardinal Stanislaw Dziwisz, he was rarely recognized by others on the slopes. While the rest of the world was getting excited over the Pope's latest cover story and the graffiti tribute, Pope Francis himself was leading a rather quiet week. Here's what he did. Over the weekend, he led a Vesper service to close the week of prayer for Christian unity. He was joined by Anglican Archbishop David Moxley and Orthodox Metropolitan Gennadios. CNS has more.
Cristo non può essere diviso. Questa certezza deve incoraggiarci e sostenerci a proseguire con umiltà e con fiducia nel cammino verso il ristabilimento della piena unità visibile tra tutti i credenti di Cristo. Mi piace pensare in questo momento all'opera del Beato Giovanni XXIII e del Beato Giovanni Paolo II. Entrambi maturarono lungo il proprio percorso di vita la consapevolezza di quanto fosse urgente la causa dell'unità e una volta eletti a vescovi di Roma hanno guidato con decisione l'intero gregge cattolico sulle strade del cammino ecumenico. L'opera di questi pontefici ha fatto sì che la dimensione del dialogo ecumenico sia diventata un aspetto essenziale del ministero del Vescovo di Roma, tanto che oggi non si comprenderebbe pienamente il servizio pretino senza includervi questa apertura al dialogo con tutti i credenti in Cristo.
Pope Francis also met with a delegation for the Centro Italiano Femminile, a Catholic women's association which had just wrapped up their annual general meeting. Now, in that audience, he said women should play a greater role in society and in the church, but without sacrificing their contribution to their own families. He also said he is happy when he sees women in parishes sharing certain pastoral duties with priests, specifically accompanying individuals and groups in the parish and getting involved in theological reflection. He said he hopes that the space for women to contribute to the life of the church will widen. He also said that every woman has a duty to carefully discern just what is the right balance of work for them. On Sunday, he led the Angelus as usual. Now, in his short address after the prayer, he said he was praying especially for the Ukraine and those who had lost family members in recent violent episodes. He said he prays that the spirit of peace will prevail. He also called out the mafia for killing a 3-year-old as part of a recent hit, saying this is unprecedented even for the mafia. Last week, 3-year-old Coco Campolongo was killed, shot point blank, along with his grandfather and his grandfather's companion. Their car was then set on fire. Now, although children have been unintended victims of mafia violence in southern Italy, a child has never actually been the target of a mafia killing until now. Pope Francis asked everyone to pray that the killers repent and convert to Christ. And then he sent his greetings to everyone celebrating Chinese New Year. On Wednesday, at the general audience, Pope Francis resumed his catechesis series on the sacraments, focusing on confirmation. Again, CNS has more.
La confirmazione, come ogni sacramento, non è opera degli uomini, ma di Dio, il quale si prende cura della nostra vita in modo da plasmarci ad immagine del suo Figlio per renderci capaci di amare come Lui. Egli lo fa infondendo in noi il suo Spirito Santo, la cui azione pervade tutta la persona e tutta la vita, come traspare dai 7 doni che la tradizione, alla luce della Sacra Scrittura, ha sempre evidenziato. Questi 7 doni, io non voglio domandarci a voi se ricordate i 7 doni, no? Forse tutti lo diranno, ma non è necessario. Tutti diranno sono questo, ma non lo facciamo. Lo dico io a nome di voi. E quali sono i doni? La sapienza, l'intelletto, il consiglio, la fortezza, la scienza, la pietà e il timore di Dio. E questi doni ci sono dati proprio con lo Spirito Santo nel sacramento della confirmazione.
Also this week, Pope Francis received the bishops of Austria on their ad limina visit, and this coming Saturday he would receive Polish bishops on their ad limina and meet with members of the Neo-Catechumenal Way. Finally, Pope Francis met with a delegation from Notre Dame University who were in Rome to celebrate the opening of their new Rome campus. He said Notre Dame has made an outstanding contribution to the U.S. through its commitment to religious education and serious scholarship. He also said he was thankful for Notre Dame's commitment to strengthening the Catholic elementary and secondary school system in the U.S., and he said it is essential to never forget a Catholic university's missionary discipleship. He said a key part of that is not compromising on upholding Catholic teaching. There were also a series of resignations and nominations this week. First up, Pope Francis nominated a new secretary for the College of Cardinals. Archbishop Ilson de Jesus Montanari takes over the role that was held by now Cardinal-designate Lorenzo Baldisseri during the last conclave. Archbishop Montanari will continue to serve as secretary for the Congregation for Bishops. Melkite Archbishop Elias Shakur has resigned. His resignation was accepted under Canon 210 of the Eastern Code of Canon Law. It allows a prelate to resign for health reasons or at the age of 75. Shakur is 74. Maronite Archbishop Musa El-Haj, also of Haifa, has been appointed temporary administrator of the diocese. This unusual appointment was made for logistical reasons. The Maronite Archbishop is the archbishop with offices closest to the seat of the Melkite Archdiocese. Archbishop Shakur was appointed archbishop in 2009 by the Melkite Catholic Synod, and he was the first Israeli citizen to be made a Melkite archbishop and the first Hebrew speaker in that position. There were also two appointments in the U.S. Bishop Ronald Gaynor was appointed to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and Sacramento, California has a new auxiliary bishop. Monsignor Myron Cotta is a priest from the Diocese of Fresno, where he has also been serving as Vicar General for the last 15 years. He will be ordained to the episcopate on March 25th. Finally, the Cardinal, who is head of the Vatican's Financial Information Authority, has resigned. According to the Vatican Press Office, Cardinal Attilio Nicola asked to be relieved of his duties as president of the AIF. Pope Francis agreed and appointed an interim president, Archbishop Giorgio Corbellini. He is currently the head of the Vatican Labor Relations Office, or what a company might call human resources. Now, this move is being taken as a sign of where Pope Francis wants to take the AIF. Corbellini worked under Carlo Maria Vigano in the Secretariat of State, and Vigano was an efficient reformer who managed to save the Vatican enough money to pay for an upgrade to the heating system. The choice of a non-cardinal is being taken as a sign that Pope Francis wants this body to be a technical organization and not an honorary body. This week we got several questions and comments from you, some related to Pope Francis's appearance on magazine covers and some not. Byron in Burlington sent us an email asking, can you give us an update on what Benedict XVI is doing these days? Is he writing any more books? Well, the answer seems to be no. Right after he announced he was resigning his Petrine ministry, Georg Ratzinger, the Pope Emeritus's 90-year-old brother, said Benedict's writing days are over, and that's for two reasons. One, he doesn't want to risk unintentionally creating division or causing confusion by having two popes writing and saying things publicly. And the other reason is he's 86 years old, and he'll be 87 in April, and at that age, extensive writing would be too hard on his eyes. Now, I also asked you, our viewers, about the Rolling Stone cover story on Pope Francis. Jose Sierra said, "Nothing new. Francis versus Benedict comparisons are weak. Benelli should have run through docks of Aparecida for a bigger picture of the Pope." Thanks for your questions and comments. Keep them coming. Vatican Connections is interactive. Send us your questions or comments by Facebook, Twitter, email, or post. Via email, send comments to info@saltandlighttv.org. And by post, send letters to 114 Richmond Street East, Toronto, Ontario, M5C 1P1, Canada. Well, that's it for this edition of Vatican Connections. Visit our blog to check out our new blog series called Meet the Cardinals. Every weekday we'll bring you a post about one of the cardinal designates so you can see for yourself how Pope Francis is reshaping the Church. And you can also follow us on Twitter. The handle is @VatiConnections. From everyone here, thanks for watching and see you next time.